I did one of these a few years ago, and it's kind of funny because if you go back and you can watch it yourself, I have actually used quite a few of these again. So we'll see how this goes. Hi, welcome to Schulte Sweetie's Homeschool YouTube channel. My name is Stephanie, and I'm a mom of 3 girls ages 13, 9, and 7. Today is a collaboration hosted by Davine at Calm in the Chaos and Shauna at Homegrown Homeschool, and there will be a playlist down below of other families sharing what they wouldn't use again, like what curriculum. So this is kind of funny. Like I mentioned in my intro that I went back and I was looking and I'm like, oh, I did this before, like 2.5 years ago, and we have since come back to a lot of these. So I had mentioned quite a few that we've gone back to. So when I say we won't use these again, at this point, it looks like we wouldn't use them, but that doesn't mean we would never, ever pick them up again, because sometimes circumstances and things change. Life is always changing and our homeschool is always changing, so who knows? We might come back to some of these in the future, but at this point, I would say it's a no. So one of the first things is we've made a lot of changes with our science and stuff this year. And we've kind of gotten in a good groove, and but some of the things that I would not use again at this point would be this Miniature Masterminds science workbook. It was just pretty, it's a decent workbook, but it was just more of like boring work, and so I did not really like this. Now, then I went and printed core knowledge, and I don't know, like I love the topics of core knowledge. Maybe if I just like familiarized myself better with teaching core knowledge, then I would say yes, that we might come back to it. But at this point, it's a no. I think it was overwhelming to me with the teachers' manuals and things, and like just trying to teach the lesson. And we just weren't getting it done. We weren't doing it. And so I always say curriculum that you don't do, that you don't pick up, is not worth it to keep around if you're not going to pick it up. If you want to use curriculum, then use it and get the most out of it. So we didn't pick it up, but we might come back to it. There's other things going on, so we shall see. But at this point, it doesn't seem like we will use this. A couple of other things that, especially for this year, but there's a few things from years past that I would say would be a no. So the big thing also for us this year was history. I was so excited for this new history from Winter Promise. It was Hideaways in History, and I don't know exactly what it was. There was a lot of pieces to it. There was like some building of fun things, and that was fun, but it was like a lot because you had to have boxes, you had to have duct tape, and all these things for that. Then there was some activities. There was an activity book. There was like a reader thing as well. And the reader, to me, was kind of annoying. And I think it just irks me when this happens. It was like these little cartoon characters going back in history, but it was just, I just didn't like it. I don't know. I don't know what it was. But, and then also I felt like the reading they were in short chunks, but it was almost just too much, like over my kids' head. And so they didn't understand half of what was happening in these stories. So then I would still have to re-explain. I would have to like look up videos and things. And I just hated it. I hated it so like I just dreaded picking it up to read. And I was like, well, how are we going to get our history done? And so like I really think that was a good move for us to just drop it right now. So the next thing is master books, and I would say quite a few of their subjects I probably wouldn't go back to. I have been tempted, I will say, like their language arts, to check it out again. I have not gone back to it yet. I don't think we will, honestly. There's so many other things that I want to try and have. So I don't think that we will go back to the master books, the living education, language arts. What I mentioned in my previous video that I've done of this, we used master books heavily for a season, and it went so well. But the season was right after, or right in, like we had kind of started homeschooling like for a year or so. That was right when I still had a little baby. My dad had passed. I had a broken ankle. So Master Books was perfect for that season. But as I've like looked through it more, and like math just didn't work well for my oldest. Right around third grade, she was on level 3, teaching her multiplication. I saw like it was not a good fit for her. It could be a good fit for your family, and that's so great. But for us, I knew it was not a good fit right away. Like, well, she actually used level 2, and then she went to 3, and she was not learning her multiplication. Part of the reason why we switched from their language arts was because my oldest was using it, and she hated the days where you would read the story and draw a picture and stuff. It just, I don't know what it was back then, and it was probably some of our circumstances, but it just really bothered her. And then spelling didn't go well for us that in those books either, and so it was kind of like we were only utilizing like 3 days worth of the 5, and so it just wasn't worth it for us to get that anymore. And so there's science. We've also used a few of their sciences. I did really like the beginning, the life one, the little kids one. We liked that one. We moved on to their adventures in creation, and I did like that the first time we used it. So I think it was last year, maybe the year before. I was like, oh, this would be good to get for my youngest who has not gone through the adventures in creation. And then I think it would have been level 3 or so, 2 or 3 for my middle daughter, of their adventures series. I think it was, I can't remember which one it was. But as I was going through those, now the adventures in creation for the second time, it really bothered me. I'm in a different place in my life personally too, and it just, like, I could not get through those. And this probably is similar to the Winter Promise, the stories of, like, there were Bible stories, but it was like, imagine if, and it was like they were having all these conversations, and it just bothered me. I was like, I want to teach science. I don't want to teach all these extra like fluffy stories about imagine if and things, and I just had to drop them. I was really disappointed because I wanted those to work for science, and it just did not. So yeah, that is another one that we won't pick up. And another one from Master Books, my oldest did use their ASL last year, and it was not a hit. We use their beginning Spanish. It's in their Master Books Academy, like their online courses. We use their Spanish and really liked that. But the sign language, it was not a hit. It was like, it was very like, she taught something and then you were just supposed to practice it. And it just didn't like have a great flow to it. And she just didn't feel like she was learning anything. So that is another one we would not pick back up. Now, moving on to the Good and the Beautiful. So when we went from Master Books to the Good and the Beautiful, we had to fill in some gaps, and I think the Good and the Beautiful did a really great job of filling in the gaps for my oldest. She had to go back from, instead of 3rd grade math, she went to 2nd grade math, then 3rd grade math. She used 4th grade math of their new math, and then in the middle of 5th grade math, she was like, can I please switch? So I saw some of her frustrations. She was taking like an hour and a half at least on her math curriculum from the Good and the Beautiful. It was tedious. There was a lot of practice work, and she didn't always feel like she knew or understood what was going on. It was a lot. And so we switched her from that. But in that process, my younger 2 were also using the Good and the Beautiful math, and I noticed that my middle especially was starting to get frustrated, and I was like, this is not, if I already see her getting frustrated, I think she was in level 3 math at that point. If I already saw her getting frustrated with that and some of the things, it might have been level 2, I don't know, that she was learning, I was like, we have got to switch out right now. I don't want to deal with this like when she's getting older and needs to like be moving on into those higher up math curriculum. So we went ahead and switched. Now I kind of go back and forth with the language arts. I just haven't loved the language arts usually. There's a lot of extras in it, and I haven't just always liked it. Sometimes I might print off the free versions, but I would never actually purchase it from the company. I would just maybe use it for like worksheets here and there if there's a tough spot that maybe I know that we could get something from there. I do always like to look at their free versions of things, but at this point we wouldn't pick that back up. I will say we do still use their handwriting, and I like that. And we do also still use their science every once in a while. It's not all the time, but I really do like their science as well. And the last one that I was just going to mention is Gather Round. We have given them, I feel like, a couple good tries. The very first one was one of their very first units, so it was North American birds. And I felt it was lacking, and I think they have since updated it. I don't know. This was like towards the beginning of them starting things. And at that point, I just didn't feel comfortable with unit studies, but also I just felt like it was just reading one bird after another, and it was kind of like monotonous. And we didn't love it, and we didn't pick it back up for a very long time. And about a year or so ago, I was like really wanting to do some government work, so we picked up government from Gather Round, and it was also another dreaded time. My girls had all different levels, and I was really trying hard to get them to enjoy it at least a little bit, but it was just like very hard to pick up again. That's kind of like our theme. It was hard for us to pick it up, but also like I just didn't love the reading. It just seemed kind of boring, kind of like I was just reading like a textbook, an encyclopedia kind of thing, and it was not really like fun information. But also, another thing that goes along with this is the pricing. And I'm pretty sure that they have just had another price increase. And so, like, for our family, we would typically get PDF, which is a great option for us to be able to reuse things. But we were in so many different places. Of course, my 13-year-old is no longer homeschooling with us, but I still had 2 more children plus the teacher's guide. So it still got costly. And like, I think with the raising of the price, it just doesn't seem worth it to us when we don't really love it. So although I do love some of the subjects that they have, I would not purchase it again for Gather Round. In my last video that I did of this, I said we weren't unit study people. We have since started liking some unit studies, but we are kind of pickier about our unit studies now. So that is my list of about 5 or 6 different curriculum that we wouldn't get again at this point. Things may change, our circumstances, our life might change. It's always changing, so don't hold me to it, but that's what I feel as of right now. I hope that you are having a great day. Make sure you check out the playlist down below, and I would love to hear what things that you wouldn't purchase again, and if you had any from my list as well. I hope you have a great day. Bye.